Hi, I'm Ethan Nadelman. I'm here in Detroit, Michigan in early June 2007, and I'm delighted to be doing this for the Oakland News.
I'm Mikey Evans, and this is the Oakland NORML News for December 25th. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Great Kwanzaa, and Festivus, Festivus, Festivus to the Poobah. This is a story out of the Ann Arbor News. Joe Mathis. A Lima Township man will likely be out of jail and home for Christmas as he awaits trial on charges he shot a teenager who police say came to his home to steal drugs. 7 people, calling themselves the Gersh Home for Christmas Committee, picketed outside Washtenaw County's 14A District Court Thursday in hopes of reducing the bail and dropping the charges against Gershom L. Avery. Avery waived his right to a preliminary hearing Thursday and will be back for a pretrial hearing January 18th before Judge Donald Shelton. But his wife, Judy, left the courtroom with a smile, insisting she'll come up with the $7,500 to get him released. "I'm thankful," she said. Her husband has been in jail since November 11th on a $250,000 bond. Police say Skylar J. Galloway, 18, Daniel L. Buckenberger, 20, and Bradley J. Tyler, 20, went to Avery's home in the 9000 block of Dexter Chelsea Road on November 11th to steal drugs. Avery, 53, allegedly shot Galloway and was arrested that night. He is charged with assault with intent to commit murder, assault with intent to do great bodily harm less than murder, felonious assault, use of a firearm in the commission of a felony, and manufacturing marijuana. Galloway, Buckenberger, and Tyler were charged with attempted home invasion and conspiracy to commit home invasion. All 4 waived their preliminary hearings Thursday, and District Judge J. Cedric Simpson set their pretrial hearings for early next year. With live coverage of the demonstration, let's go to Greg Piasecki.
Yeah.
Greg?
This is Greg Piasecki reporting for ONN. Thanks, Mikey. I'm here with Chuck Ream talking about the Gersh trial over in Washtenaw County. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, we're not here to talk about the facts of the case today because the lawyer can handle the facts of the case, and the facts of the case will show that Gersh is innocent of the charges. We're here to protest the charges themselves. There's at least 4 charges that say that Gersh was assaulting someone else when he was on his own property, and 3 young men were attacking his property and his home with his wife inside. We have a friend here who is interested also, a police officer here evidently in our... okay, well, nice of him to let us speak here today. Anyway, we're not here to discuss the facts of the case, but the fact that Gersh has been charged with assault when he's protecting his home. We do have a new law in Michigan which enables people to protect their home and family if they are attacked. It's a variant of the Castle Doctrine here in Michigan. So Gersh is protected. The facts of the case should show that he is innocent. We want him out for Christmas, home with his family for Christmas.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mikey, back to you.
Thank you, Greg, for that great coverage. We'll be right back after this message.
Hi, this is Willie Nelson from NORML. For 30 years, NORML has provided a voice for the millions of Americans who smoke marijuana responsibly. In Canada, medicinal use of marijuana is already legal. Now the Canadian government has announced that they will soon stop arresting marijuana smokers altogether. We can learn much from our neighbors to the north. To learn how you can help, contact NORML at www.norml.org.
Welcome back. NDSU weighing DEO proposal on hemp, December 2nd, 2007, by Blake Nicholson, Associated Press writer. North Dakota State University has been waiting nearly a decade for federal permission to grow industrial hemp, but university officials say it could cost them nearly $50,000 to install the 10-foot-high fences and meet other requirements. NDSU officials are not rushing to decide on the proposal from the Drug Enforcement Administration that would seem to pave the way for hemp research in North Dakota. The proposed Memorandum of Agreement was delivered by DEA officials last month to Burton Johnson, an associate professor in NDSU's Plant Sciences Department. "We're going to take a look at it. There's a significant cost that would be involved in compliance with it," said Rick Johnson, a special assistant attorney general who represents the university. "We haven't put an exact dollar figure on it, but we're pretty sure it will probably be over $50,000. "We'll try to get a handle on costs," Johnson said. "Then, of course, we've got to sit down and discuss where that money would come from." Rick Johnson said he plans to meet with Burton Johnson, Ken Grafton, NDSU's Dean of Agriculture, and D.C. Costin, NDSU's Vice President for Agriculture and University Extension. The 7-page document from the DEA calls for various security measures, including a 10-foot-high, 10-gauge wire mesh fence around the plants and an alarm system. It says that under the conditions specified, the application for permission to grow hemp will be granted. Burton Johnson said NDSU wants more information. "I think it's more like opening a window a little bit, rather than a door for hemp research," Johnson said. "When you open the door, that implies you're in. I don't know if that's necessarily the case here." NDSU has been required by state lawmakers to study industrial hemp as an alternative crop. Officials have been trying for 8 years to get DEA permission. Hemp, which can be used in numerous products from rope to lotion, is considered a controlled substance under a federal law, and that does not distinguish it from its cousin, the illegal drug, marijuana. Rick Johnson and other officials believe the new DEA proposal was prompted by a lawsuit against the agency filed by 2 North Dakota farmers who want to grow industrial hemp under state regulations approved last year. Even though a federal judge dismissed the lawsuit last week, it focused attention on NDSU's effort to get federal permission for hemp research. Johnson filed a brief with the court supporting the farmers, and the matter came up during the court hearing on the lawsuit. Before that happened, DEA officials hadn't shown up on campus for 8 years, Johnson said. DEA spokesman Garrison Courtney has declined comment on the proposal, other to say that the ability of an institution to ensure security is a big factor when the DEA considers whether to allow it to produce a controlled substance. The DEA has issued such licenses in the past, including one to the University of Mississippi to grow bulk marijuana for research, according to the Justice Department. U.S. District Judge Dan Hovland, who presided over the farmers' lawsuit against the government, questioned Justice Department attorney Wendy Ertmer during a November 14th court hearing about the length of time it was taking the DEA to give the NDSU an answer. Ertmer told the judge she could not discuss details of the NDSU's case because it was pending, but she said the fact that the DEA had issued such licenses in the past shows this administrative process is not futile. Rick Johnson had said in court documents that NDSU was being required to spend money on security measures without any assurance that the DEA would ever approve the hemp research project. He said the language in the new memorandum appears to provide better assurance than the DEA has ever offered in the past. David Bronner, president of the Hemp Industries Association, said in a statement that he was pleased with the DEA proposal given to NDSU because it might finally allow research. The nonprofit lobbying group Vote Hemp was also happy with the DEA proposal. "This could be a really good thing for us," spokesman Adam Eidinger said. NDSU is taking a go-slow approach. Even if it gets federal permission for hemp research, a crop could not be planted until the spring, Burton Johnson said. "I don't think we're going to jeopardize being able to do something in May by taking our time now," he said. "Let's go forth with some hemp research and get industrial hemp to our American farmers. They can use the help." And now, for another message from another sponsor.
When I woke up this morning, I was looking for papers. I was watching the cable. There was murders and rapers. Need a new sensation, one I've yet to discover. Need a new kind of freedom. Need a new kind of lover. Feeling introspective, maybe a little mellow. Smoked a lot of reefer. I am that stoner fellow. Time to hit the kitchen, mix up a little flavor. Can I get you some cookies? Can I do you the favor? I've got the munchies, I've got the munchies. I've got the munchies. I've got the munchies.
Hi, this is Willie Nelson from NORML. For 30 years, NORML has provided a voice for the millions of Americans who smoke marijuana responsibly. Thousands of sick and dying patients find marijuana effective as a medicine, including cancer, MS, and AIDS patients. 9 states have legalized its use. To learn how you can help, contact NORML at www.norml.org or call toll-free at 888-67-NORML.
Welcome back. Giuliani, Romney, McCain offered $10,000 to prove statements on medical marijuana. December 6, 2007, out of West Babylon, New York. At a press conference in front of Rudy Giuliani's Manchester headquarters this morning, with a massive mobile truck billboard in tow, a representative of the Marijuana Policy Project joined 2 New Hampshire patients to challenge presidential hopefuls Rudy Giuliani, John McCain, and Mitt Romney to back up their statements regarding medical marijuana with scientific evidence, offering the legal maximum $10,000 campaign contribution to any of the 3 who can prove that their statements are true. In response to questions from patients who have benefited from medical marijuana, these candidates have made claims that are flat out false, said MPP Executive Director Rob Campia. Since appeals to science, compassion, and common sense knowledge haven't worked, we're talking to them in a language we know they understand. Campaign contributions. If Giuliani, Romney, or McCain can back up their claims that medical marijuana isn't needed or is too dangerous, we'll give their campaign $10,000. But if they can't, they need to stop lying. Any responses from the campaigns will be evaluated by an independent panel of medical experts. An image of the billboard, along with full details of the challenge and relevant scientific data, are posted at www.medicalmarijuanaworks.org. We'll take a look at that in a moment. I'm sick of the lies, said Clayton Holton, who is disabled by muscular dystrophy and who was snubbed by Romney in video footage seen widely on CNN and YouTube. If our politicians are going to withhold my medical treatment from me, something that's considered torture to do to our enemies in battle, then for the sake of all sick Americans, they better be able to prove that it's necessary with evidence and not just words. In responses to the questions posed by the New Hampshire voters at campaign events, all 3 leading Republicans have claimed that marijuana is either too dangerous for medical use or not needed because adequate substitutes exist, claims that are contradicted by public scientific data. In letters being delivered today to each of the 3 candidates, Campia cited their specific statements and challenged them to supply proof. In his letter to Giuliani, Campia wrote, "We find it notable that you dismiss marijuana as too dangerous for medical use while your law firm represented Purdue Pharma, the makers of the highly addictive and toxic opioid OxyContin. Given that the company paid $634.5 million in fines and penalties for misleading doctors and patients about the drug's abuse potential, and given that a growing body of evidence suggests that medical marijuana can reduce the use of such highly addictive opioid painkillers. The billboard will accompany MPP Stuart Cooper this afternoon as he delivers letters from Campia to the McCain and Romney headquarters in Manchester. A visit to Romney's national headquarters in Boston is also planned. Further events with the Pinocchio billboard in New Hampshire and other primary or caucus states are expected. Now let's take a look at that one more time. And now, we'll be right back after these messages.
Get up, get up, get up, get up, go! Get up, go!
Got stickers? Oakland County NORML does not endorse the random stickering of other people's property, both public and private. All rights reserved.
Got a couple interesting stories out of Holland. We like the European stories, but these ones are funny. Police complain that it is their right to smoke cannabis while off duty. 15th of December, 2007, the Daily Mail. Police in Amsterdam are complaining over new rules banning them from smoking cannabis while off duty. Officers in the Dutch capital famous for its liberal drug laws, have been told they must set the public a good moral example. The ban, due to come into effect on January 1st, will make the force the first in the Netherlands to bar officers from using drugs when not at work. Frank Kitay, the city's police council chairman, said, "Until now, police were only banned from showing up for work stoned or drunk. But now we are telling officers that they should behave like their police at all times. That means not taking drugs and not getting excessively drunk, whether on or off duty." But Dutch Police Union Chairman Hans van Dusen said, "Many of our members are opposed to this. They are not paid for 24 hours a day. What they do in their free time is up to them." And let me tell you folks, if that's good for the police, it's surely good for every citizen in the world. And here's our second story out of Holland. It's even more fun than the first one, and it's the Dutch police again. Thursday, 20th of December 2007, the International Herald Tribune. Dutch police serve hashish cake to man suspected of growing cannabis. A man being held in a Dutch police cell on suspicion of growing cannabis got an unintended treat in his lunch, a piece of hashish-laced cake, a spokesman said Thursday. Yum. "It was an accident," said Elwin Daan, police spokesman in the southern province of Zeeland. The hash cake had earlier been seized by police in an unrelated investigation and stored in a refrigerator, close to lunch packets served to suspects being held in cells in the police station in Goes, 180 kilometers south of Amsterdam. Clearly it looked a lot like the other lunch packets, Don said, of the hash cake, which was served with a cup of coffee on Sunday. Officers returned to the cell a half hour later, and the suspect told them, "I think you've given me something you weren't supposed to," Don said. The man had only nibbled at the cake, and a doctor who was called to examine him said he suffered no ill effects. "It was pure coincidence that this man got the cake," Don said of the fact that a suspected drug grower had been given the cake. What was in the cake had nothing to do with his case. I wish what was in his cake was in my case. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, this is Willie Nelson for NORML. For 30 years, NORML has provided a voice for the millions of Americans who smoke marijuana responsibly. 72% of the public support a fine only, no jail, for social use of marijuana. And yet, 724,000 Americans were arrested on marijuana charges last year because the politicians haven't yet gotten the message. To learn how you can help, contact NORML at www.norml.org.
Here's some exciting news out of Michigan. You'll enjoy this one. I'm going to enjoy this one. It should bring us good news in the new year. The Detroit News. Petition forms receive go ahead. Backers can gather signatures to put legislature health care plans on an 08 ballot. Lansing. Petition forms calling for a part-time legislature and mandating universal health care in Michigan won approval Wednesday from the state elections panel, paving the way for circulators to begin gathering signatures next month. Both measures would go on the general election ballot in November of 2008. The Board of State Canvassers voted 4-0 to approve the part-time legislature petition, which called for a constitutional amendment that would slash the legislature's session schedule from year-round to 4 months, reduce lawmakers' salaries, and limit their benefits. A second proposed state constitutional amendment ensuring affordable and comprehensive health care for every Michigan resident was also approved by a 4-0 vote by the bipartisan panel. The board's approval means that the petitions adhere to the letter of the law as to size, format, and typeface, but has nothing to do with the substance of the petition language. Any disputes over content would have to be decided by the courts. Circulators need to collect more than 380,000 petition signatures. Greg Schmid, a Saginaw attorney involved in the part-time legislature campaign, said his group intends to spend about $1 million to put the issue on the ballot, and the campaign will begin with a direct mailing to voters on January 8th. We're trying to get a different cast of characters in Lansing. Term limits was a great start, but now we need to make sure we have citizen legislators with real-world experience who are grounded in their home communities and not in the state capitol, Schmid said. The amendment calls for a March to July annual session with allowances for up to 20 special session days. Lawmakers' salaries would be cut from $79,650,000 to $40,000 a year with a 1% penalty for each session day missed. Legislatures would not get retirement or medical benefits after they leave office. Healthcare for Michigan, a coalition that says it has the backing of a wide array of interests, including labor and the AARP, plans to hold a campaign kickoff event January 8th and begin circulating petitions in Michigan for the primary election day, January 15th. Gary Benjamin, spokesman for the group, said the constitutional amendment calls for more cost-effective financial system for health care so every Michiganian can have health insurance coverage. The $60 billion currently spent in the state on health care is more than enough to provide coverage for everyone, including the 850,000 Michigan residents who are uninsured, he said. We don't need more money for health care. We need more health care for our money, said Valerie Prozah, a organizer of the coalition. Petition gathering would cost about $1 million, and the group hopes to raise $4 million for the promotional campaign, Benjamin said. Also on Wednesday, and here's the good news, the Board of State Canvassers announced that challenges to the 500,000 petition signatures submitted by a group advocating legalized marijuana for medical patients in pain will be permitted as soon as its staff is finished with a signature sample, likely in mid to late January. About 304,000 valid signatures are required. Michigan voters likely will decide in November of next year whether seriously ill patients can use marijuana to ease their pain should they get a prescription. We'll be right back after this.
Georgia.
Hi, this is Willie Nelson. Alcohol prohibition didn't work in the 1920s, and marijuana prohibition isn't working today. It's time we stopped arresting responsible marijuana smokers. It's the fair thing to do.
For more information, contact NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Call toll-free 888-67-NORML or visit their website at norml.org.
2007 is almost over. We're coming to the new year, 2008. Looks like we might be voting on the proposal for medical marijuana. Kudos to the MCCC, all the petitioners, all the people in Michigan NORML who helped out, all the people in the state who helped out. Great job. It's looking great. We're going to start our propaganda machine up soon. Mikey Zero's propaganda machine will be going into production for this campaign, no matter what. And we'd like to give you this wish for the new year. Peace and love and happiness to all of my friends and everybody I don't know. And everybody on the world deserves love and happiness. So, let's get going. Let's pass this thing next year. I'm Mikey Evans, and this was the Oakland NORML News, number 14. See you next year.
You are watching